My patient, Zoey Hamilton, sobbed so violently the first night, she couldn't breathe. When I entered, she screamed my name like I was him, Ryan. I froze, then I whispered facts about whales, her favorites. She clutched a worn plush dolphin, trembling. In the silence, I sat on the floor, her eyes flickered, like she saw me again. It wasn't trust, just less fear. Her trauma lingered in every shadow, but her grip on that plush, that was her anchor. Zoey wouldn't speak, but her nightmares spoke volumes. Every time I entered, she flinched, arms up, shielding her face. Ryan had done more than hurt her. He broke her sense of safety. I noticed her dolphin plush went missing one morning. Panic. She tore through her room, screaming, inconsolable. I found it under her bed, dust covered. Her breathing slowed when I gave it back. She cradled it, whispering sea facts. That was our first conversation through a battered toy. One evening, Zoey stared at me blankly, then shouted, "Ryan sent you." I stepped back. Her mind folded in on itself, paranoia bleeding through her voice. I tried reminding her of sea turtles, our calming ritual, but she hurled the dolphin at me. "You lied," she cried. I left the room, heart crushed. Dr. Hale said it was a normal setback, but it felt like betrayal returned in my skin. The hallucinations worsened. Zoey scratched the walls, whispering about rats in her skin. I offered grounding techniques, breathing, naming ocean creatures, but she shoved me away. The ocean lied too, she hissed. One night, I found her dolphin plush in the trash. I retrieved it silently. Something had fractured deeper. She'd retreated past memory. I feared I'd lost her entirely, drowned in a storm I couldn't see. A new therapist, Dr. Morris, arrived, cheerful, overconfident. He insisted Zoey just needed firm guidance. She regressed instantly. I found her sobbing in a corner, mumbling sea animal names like spells. When I approached, she didn't flinch. She clutched the dolphin again. "You're Daniel," she said softly. Relief washed over me. Dr. Morris had triggered her worst fears. It wasn't progress, but it was a return. To us, to the smallest thread of trust. The twist unraveled slowly. Zoey handed me a crumpled note. Ryan was never gone. I thought she meant her hallucinations, but then I learned. He'd sent letters from jail, blaming her for everything. Staff hid them, assuming she couldn't handle it. She had. She whispered, "He doesn't own me anymore," stroking her dolphin's fin. That moment I saw it. Clarity. She wasn't healed, but she was fighting back finally. In her final week, Zoey smiled more. She asked about jellyfish migration, held her dolphin like treasure. I read her the letter I helped write. To Ryan, unread and sealed. She nodded, "Let him rot." Dr. Hale placed a seashell on her windowsill. Closure was quiet, like low tide. The ocean still called, but it no longer drowned her. Zoey passed peacefully, her dolphin still in her arms. The staff wept. I placed coral on her bedside, her favorite. Ryan's name was never spoken again in that wing. She became legend, not tragedy. Her story ended in calm waters, not chaos. For once, she chose the tide. And the tide, this time, was kind.